going to be ad agencies and freelancers. So we wanted to kind of get your thoughts and opinions on that and what we came up with for that first project. Because for this next one, we have to come up with the media. We can come up with, 2 if we want, but probably not more than that. So maybe something with the website, and then maybe something on print, such as direct mail or something like that. And then it has to be based off of this target audience that we found for this one. And then it was kind of tricky because there was, only so many people to survey. So that's where we also wanted to kind of incorporate you guys more and see like what you wanted us to do. Because for, the other teams, they have companies who had, like hundreds of people that they couldn't have surveyed. So we have to go about it a little bit differently still.
Let's see.
One of those challenges is we are a service company rather than a product company, so to speak. This does tend to be a little bit more of a product, but it's still not something sitting on a shelf that needs to be marketed in that regard.
Right.
Yeah, we couldn't just sample general population. We had to find out those people, a few people that have used it, and just build it off that. Are there any other things that you think we should focus on? Print advertising agencies or freelancers, and that would be like main targets, I guess.
Okay. It's really a matter of determining what reaches that audience.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much the audience that we had directed the initial product at.
Yeah.
And the service. What happens is even though, say, a creative person works for an agency, they also tend to do stuff on the side. So they do their own work.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes that's the way in, or companies won't deal with an agency, they'll deal with a creative team that puts stuff together for them that then needs to go somewhere to get a certified proof. Because as in your presentation, different screens, different mediums, it all looks different.
Mm-hmm.
We do have one client that sends us color Xeroxes and says, make it look like this. So we have to make it look like that within the specifications of the actual output.
So with the freelance too, I'm like saying, we'll be calling on clients at agencies, and we'll have meetings or handle whatever their client business is at their job, and then they'll say, hey Frank, I'm working on this other job at home tonight. Can you help me out with the certified proof or with something like that? So that's where that market kind of evolves from.
Okay.
So they're aware of us from being in their company, but then they're doing something on the side just to supplement their income.
Yeah, I work with a guy like that. He's our creative director, and he does freelance work too.
Mm-hmm.
But he won't use anyone we use. He just has his own. I think it's called Alpha or something like that. But yeah, he does that all the time. He's actually the guy that's going to be doing your website or a mock-up of the website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, LitPack really doesn't fit into either of those categories. It's a packaging company. It's not an advertising agency or a freelance. So
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm also wondering about the possibility of being able to look at potential corporate clients that might have an internal marketing department.
Mm-hmm. Like Chrysler, you guys have, I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Probably like as an example, Morley Candy, a local company that does a lot of work internally with the creative team.
Mm-hmm.
Might like to know what their chocolates are going to look like when they send it out and have it printed.
Mm-hmm.
They might have something internal. They might not. I'm not sure.
How would we go about finding that out? We would have to just, I guess, would there be like a list or anything of similar companies?
I don't know that there would be a list of similar companies, but that might be looking for a marketing department, communications department.
As you take a look at that, what you're probably going to find with us is you're not really looking at TV or radio.
No, definitely.
Right.
We eliminated
We
that.
have that list. We assumed right away that it wasn't going to be either of those.
So print, electronic media of just about any sort, whether it's a link, whether it's a directed email, whether it's off a list, or whether it's an ongoing posting on a server that people can be directed into. Or it's maybe looking at other events to where we can create buzz, so to speak, recognition.
Like that one you had, where your first advertisement you ran, that was like, that things like that would be perfect.
Yeah, I don't know if in your studies you've talked about the steps of an ad campaign, so to speak, where you've got the branding stage of it, the marketing stage, then the call to action, so to speak. So it's really a matter of, because of where we are in the development, what's the best way to work through that to this audience?
Mm-hmm. That's going to be this part, really.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a little too focused as far as the product's concerned to do a lot of general stuff that you might do with other products, but things like maybe generating banner ads that we could use to support industry blogs and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Forums where people go to get information.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's a way to, there was a way to advertise directly with them and support them directly, as opposed to trying to do something like Google AdWords or something, which is more generic.
Yeah, one of the interesting things, such as what you did to kind of survey initially, would be to reach out to some of those creatives that you may know and just kind of survey them and say, if a company was to deliver or bring a new product to you,
Yeah, I was thinking of
what would
doing
they
that.
need?
I deal with a lot of
So they do
agencies, so I was thinking of just like sending like an email to all my contacts at those agencies to see if they could.
See, the challenge for us is when we send that out, they identify with who we are.
Right, right.
This product line, this service is a little bit different than who they know us as. But in this town, what happens with clients and consumers is they tend to want to put you into a category.
Yeah.
Right.
And
From
what
what
we're
they're
doing
already
here is saying, you've identified the category we're in, how do we approach that so that we can build that brand recognition, the value statement, so to speak,
Yeah.
goes along with it.
But it sounds like you're trying to separate Prove Your Color from Brophy.
A little bit. The difference is in advertising mediums or marketing mediums, we've seen a lot of things come and go directed at this market. Whether it's because people don't advertise in them or the market doesn't respond to them. The real question is, how do you build relationships with clients in an area where they may know you in a different realm or a different classification. So there's certainly value. When we say certified, there's a value in it being associated with Brophy, because that's been one of the hallmarks of who we are as a company.
Right.
That's going to be your selling point, is the fact that you're backed by Brophy.
And that's what we tell people. What we tell people is, if you think of it as assurance or insurance, what you're going to get is representative. It's accurate.
Right.
We're also hoping it's a way of identifying a new group of potential customers that might really want to work with Brophy as opposed to doing Prove Your Color, but it's a way in. It's a way of identifying those people who normally wouldn't think that they would qualify to work with a company like Brophy as far as doing graphical work. So
yeah.
it's a great way in that respect as well.
Smaller scale.
Yeah, exactly. For instance, if you think of our retouching business, which is our ability to manipulate images like you see on the walls around here, a lot of those clients come to us through one of our other services.
Right.
So you're already doing this for me. Hey, you know what? I need this too.
Right. Yeah.
Versus buying that service as a standalone.
That's why I feel like I don't want to separate it too much.
That's one of the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly how tied in. Because I feel like the Prove Your Color customer would get a lot of reassurance and feel like they could trust the company since it's backed by Brophy. Right.
And also knowing that they have the support of Brophy if something were to go wrong or they
Right.
needed help with their project because it wasn't what they were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, what happens when you get that approved? And you
go,
look
"What?"
at it and go, that wasn't what I was expecting.
Right.
Right.
But you're up against a deadline.
Yeah.
So how do I get this to where I want it to be? We can bring other expertise into play in that regard.
What do you guys do right now for advertising?
Very little.
Like social media?
Essentially, we're involved in social media. We haven't really pushed hard on it.
I think our last update was December of 2013.
On what, Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a corporate LinkedIn page. A number of us have our
Right.
business/personal LinkedIn pages.
Okay.
As far as that's concerned. As far as the Facebook type stuff, we're not really pushing a lot out on again, in this medium, in this market, that might be something that's the right way to go about it.
Oh, for sure. We want to hit social media hard, just because that's where all these agencies are at. That's where they're hanging out like most of their day.
Are you saying there's downtime in the agency?
Oh my gosh, you have no idea. I deal with agencies all day, and I can't tell you how many of them just will friend request me on like LinkedIn or something. I'm like, what are you doing? Looking up my profile on LinkedIn is what I don't get.
It's the second page they have up.
Yeah.
So one of the questions there is, what does that social media presence look like? Now, are you running a banner ad connected to a site? Are you findable within a site? Or are you pushing contacts?
I mean, you don't even have to go that far. That stuff requires, advertising dollars. Say you didn't have any. Say you had like $100 to play with. You just having a LinkedIn presence, a Facebook presence, a Pinterest presence to show off, your great work. All these different social media sites, just having that presence and pushing them to these agencies you're gonna hit at least a percentage of them. I mean, 2 to 3% at minimum will get you back. We have like this form that'll show you what your return will be with like $100 investment or whatever investment you want to put in. You can put in nothing if you want. Social media is free, but just having that presence and keeping up with it is gonna.
And it's one of the things we're expecting out of this is that push point that allows, say, Howard to sign off and say, yeah, we're going to do that. And then we answer the question, how does that get run internally?
Yeah.
There's some hidden benefits to that too. So keeping up with social media is going to increase your ranking, your SEO ranking with the other activities we're doing as well. So all kind of ties together. Darcy talking about it.
Frank and I have been
Sending
debating and discussing this for weeks, actually, the social media presence and what exactly we want to do with it. And you make a very good point, and we don't. It's very funny to hear you say, that the agencies are, because I think for us, that's not how we spend our time.
Right.
It's hard to believe that, but if that's how people at agencies are spending their time, then yeah, we do want to have a stamped presence there.
Oh, yeah.
There's a Twitter account for PYC in Brophy. There's only a Facebook account for Brophy, and the challenge is just updating it and updating it with what how, and the balance of industry relevant material versus a personal touch feel. Right. So that's what we're talking about as of recently. But I'd love to see the information that you have regarding the return.
Sure.
We'll see if anyone have any extra puppies they can bring down from the dumpster.
So, does anyone know about your Facebook page, or do you kind of just direct them to it?
We don't direct people to it currently. No. There are buttons on our website.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it.
And that would be it for now.
Or would you be open to buttons in your signature on emails? Or?
Those we do have that too.
Oh,
Most of us are using that as well.
He's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, he does. He's the IT.
Actually, the guy that built those.
One of the social media challenges is no matter how you interact with social media, when you're a company generating the message, it doesn't always display or present the same way in everybody's device or interaction.
Right.
So that's one of the challenges you face from the corporate side, saying, we want our presence to be X. On some people's devices, it'll be Y and Z and whatever, and is that going to be okay for the overall? Because in the business world, you don't have that many chances to establish who you are.
Right.
And once it's established, it's really hard to break out of that mode. So
and that's one of the big challenges that we're facing, and that's why we haven't made more progress with that. Is as we're struggling as to what that content really should be and what it should look like, and without starting off on the wrong foot, as Mike said. So
there are people around here that will refer to us as old.
Okay, old is not bad.
But at the same time, we recognize the potential pitfalls in some of those areas. And like Darcy says, once you start that, you have to keep it up to date. You got to keep it active.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Makes time.
Yeah, we also wanted to know, well, since we were talking about, how much things cost, like, Facebook is free and stuff, we were wondering, did you guys have a budget for advertising for Prove Your Color?
Not officially, but we could have one.
Do you know what that would be about, or like what are we working with?
I'm in for 20.
Selling costs, which advertising and marketing kind of falls within,
Okay.
tends to run somewhere between probably 8 and 12% of what revenue potential is. So when you're looking at things like that, you're looking, certainly you need to invest. We understand the marketing, the selling side where you invest in order to get a return.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're really looking at in establishing a budget is, if we're going to put this much out there, it's going to correspond to a return. Everything in business corresponds to the revenue that comes in. So it's really a matter of taking a look at it and saying, okay. When we first did the beta stuff, we said we're not going to put the marketing on. We want to know if it works. We want to see what happens with it. Okay. As we walked into this, we said, okay, we're past that stage now. Now it's a matter of making the site look the best that it can look for the market that it's intended for. And it's a matter of extending its reach. What we don't want to do is essentially assign personnel to doing that, i.e. salespeople in the market. But we want to try to use other tools and see if that is it, because again, it's a economical, efficient, effective way of delivering a product, not necessarily expensive way. The clients for this product don't want to pay the freight. You put another $20 on the cost of a proof, and half your market goes away.
Right. So with that being said, it seems like we should focus like on social media and things like that.
Right. I mean, it's hard for us to put a dollar value on a budget at this point. Mike is right. That was a good percentage that he gave you. And the product, the average price right now of a proof is probably $35 to $40 with our order history. You're not going to have a big marketing budget for that at this point, because it's a newly launched product and we haven't done a lot of advertising yet. But keep in mind, yes, for sure, email advertising would be effective and cheap. It's just time.
Yeah.
Social media, even direct mail or things like that, we would do our own printing. So,
Right.
We're pretty resourceful in terms of really all of the mediums you're looking at using. So there would be a budget. It's hard. I don't know. I hesitate to give you a dollar amount.
Why don't
How do
we
you feel
just
about that?
come up with we'll present some stuff to you, and then if you're comfortable with it.
Yeah, I would like that. I would
Yeah.
like, because I did see that you have to do the research anyhow, and if
Yeah.
there's print involved, you have to get a price for that. And
Yeah.
I would like it to be an outside price, not our internal cost, and then we know that we can do it cheaper
Right.
ourselves.
Right.
But that would be good.
Okay.
And a lot of the online stuff is a click rate, purchasing thing. The bigger question, I think, is what's the right site to be at? What's the right reach to have in it to get to the right people?
Yeah.
Because advertising it to the wrong audience, again, doesn't generate the revenue side of the equation. You might feel good because you did something, but dollars spent going to the wrong audience is one of the challenges in the business.
Yeah, a huge click rate on the wrong website. It'd be pointless, and that should be the goal.
It's no different than a technical site for somebody who's creative in nature, or vice versa. It's hard to send a common message to a large audience, but making sure that the message identifies with the audience you intend to hit is kind of important, especially on the online stuff.
I think one interesting thing that he brought up was the idea of targeting companies like the Chrysler, which we really hadn't thought of that much yet. We're going to have to think about that.
There's a whole association of in-house creative agencies or in-house creative resources. So you can find them online, and they are just that. They act as their own agency, their own creative resource. So they're there.
One of the challenges we face as a business is we could join 20 organizations.
Mm-hmm.
That all want $3,000 to $8,000 a year for you to join. Then you got access to all their members.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, I can give you ours. I have like the ad craft list. You can have all that.
When you're in school, you get benefits.
Yeah. No, I'm from the company I work for.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. I have the whole ad craft list for you. Don't worry.
You know, and again, a lot of our business is relationship based. It's
Yeah.
one person to another person. It doesn't typically require a whole lot of advertising budget, but it does require you making the right relationships so that it spreads throughout the community.
So you're partly relying on word of mouth?
Yeah, that's something we want.
Sure.
We wouldn't want to change that.
No, we certainly hope for that. I mean, that's an interesting part of this whole product, right? Because it's a fairly straightforward product,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you can get your arms around after a little bit. You know exactly what it's going to do for you, right?
Hmm.
But the market aspects are pretty broad once you start digging in. I mean, it could be the agencies, it could be the freelance, it could be the in-house, it could be printers, you know. And how do you reach those? What are the different ways? You're not going to reach them all the same way. So I think, you know, when we started this, it was because we knew we had a product that people wanted because they asked for it. They used to pay $500 for it. A bunch of years ago, they paid $5,000 for it, but now they're not willing to pay that, and they shouldn't because technology's changed. So how do we reach them?
So do you want to focus on the Detroit area first and foremost? Because I mean, it's online too, so that's another. So we can.
It's up to you.
Think of it two ways. It's the easiest thing is Detroit area users.
Right.
But let's say you're in New York and you're doing something for a company or a client that's here in Detroit. You could run your certified proof there and ship it overnight and deal with a day or two delay before you hear back. Or you could send it right into us and have it locally delivered, and it's there today. So it's not just people here, it's anybody that has to deal in this area.
Right. It's a really wide reach since it's online.
And with the ability to UPS ship it out pretty much anywhere,
It's everybody.
you know, it really depends on what your resources are in your own neighborhood.
Right. Do you guys advertise at any of like the art schools, like CCS for freelancers or anything like that?
I think that's part of what Module 2 said.
Okay.
Do we? We used to have students come through here all the time.
Okay.
Tours and things of that nature. Agencies used to bring their staffs in here, partly because we did a very good job of educating them as to what the production process was like. We've seen less and less of that, which is one of the reasons we find ourselves in a situation that says, you know what, we need to push out more than what's coming to us. At CCS, students used to come in here all the time as part of their course curriculum and walk through and learn about the different aspects of the business that we fulfill.
Would you like more of that?
That's a very efficient way, so to speak. Your payback on that, your return on that, sometimes takes a year or two because your people are then getting back out in the marketplace and that they remember you from that. So it's not a quick return on that investment, but it did for many years prove to be a very beneficial way for us to educate people as to who we were. In our industry, one of the things that's really hard to do is to explain to people why we're important to them or how we can make them more efficient. Service companies such as ours, typically we do stuff for people that if they really wanted to, they could do themselves. But the advantage is when they come to do it with us is efficiency, the expertise. They can go on and do something else. You know, focus maybe more on their core task while we handle the details. And then again, when we do it, they get the assurance that the end product is usable and it's money well spent. And that's how you stay in business for 75 years at this point.
Sure.
You guys do design too?
From time to time, with the right client mix. We don't promote it as much, partly because some of our clients are in that business. You know, so we respect our clients. You know, but for the right situation where we're not necessarily competing in that, we've done it in the past.
we also, well, we kind of figured out the medias. We wanted to know exactly what you didn't want to do and what you did want to do, and we kind of ruled out television and radio. But was there anything else that you were like, I would rather stay away from, or that I would really love to do?
Graffiti doesn't tend to work for us because we actually clean it off the building when it happens.
No graffiti, I'll put
Yeah.
it down.
What's that, street marketing? Yeah, there you go.
No transit.
So we basically kind of covered that. But
Yeah.
was there anything else you guys wanted to put on top of that? Or?
We do want to probably print media because we have access to it. If that's, seems like it makes sense. It is your product. I
Kind of a
mean,
way to show off, you know.
You know, and print media encompasses a lot of things. There's your general media outlets, and then there's your specific or trade outlets, and then there's maybe different shows that are attached that you can advertise through print media that way too.
mhm.
So there's a number, and print media is a much broader category than people tend to think of.
So there might be some opportunities in the retail market too. I'm thinking of people that sell professional printing equipment, that sell, Epsons and, Sherpas and the high-end printers might not necessarily have a color managed system, in their display room, and somebody's interested in buying one. Maybe they'd like to get a sample print made. I know I'm always doing that when I'm looking and evaluating other printers. I want to get a print made. And it'd be great to have received some that have been certified, so you know exactly what you're looking for. So there's a lot of retail out there. It's a possibility.
Wow. Okay. That's like, yeah, ideas like that we haven't considered. Yeah.
Rico, Epson,
We're slacking.
a lot of them. There's companies like NASDAR locally, and there's a lot of companies that sell the high-end print stuff.
Too many choices.
Yeah.
That's a
Good
good
to have
thing.
a lot of possibilities.
But I think when you have such a narrowly focused product, you really have to kind of expand
Yeah.
the potential there.
Our assumption when we started that this was going to be a digitally marketed product. And when we sat down and said, we're going to make PYC, we felt like the one that was going to make the most sense was some sort of digital mix. We didn't know what that looked like or should look like. I would say we still aren't sure what it should look like.
No, I agree.
Yeah, but from a price point, from a reach standpoint, a low-priced product needs a broad reach.
Right.
It doesn't do us any good to make 10 of them. We want to make 10,000 of them.
Right.
So how are we going to get that audience built up week after week, month after month, so that we have that kind of a push?
So 3 things to zero in on would probably be social media, the website, and maybe like a direct email.
So social media is a way to have people find you. The website is kind of the SEO optimization to an extent. So when they search for different things, you want to be available to them. And the way people search for things is by words or by location. Given a choice, people tend to like to deal with whoever's closest. It's just the way the world is at the moment.
And I'd like to, at some point, get a better understanding of how social media is actually utilized. And in some respects, I kind of get it, but I hear that there's a lot of people in an advertising agency that are on Facebook. That's great, but I can assure you that they're not sitting there looking for certified proofing. They're probably updating their own pages or looking at their friends' pages, making plans for the weekend.
Mhm.
No, but you know what? Let me tell you how this works. Okay, so you have a home feed. You have a home feed,
Okay.
and people in the advertising agency are constantly on that home feed, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, whatever.
Okay.
So as you're updating your page, that shows up in their home feed. So
Okay,
you
so
know
that's
what I
just
mean? Yeah,
popping up
it's
with
not
it.
them necessarily typing in, oh, I need proofing. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And plus, your social media, your website, and if we decide to do, what was the other one you said? Email. That's all going to be linked through your website. So the social media directs people to your website. The email directs people to your website.
Okay,
That's
well,
why
that's
your
cool.
website needs to be on point. Right now it's not, but it needs to be. Okay.
Yeah, one of the things we've always asked is, okay, you need somebody to like you.
Oh, don't worry about that. My company's going through the same thing right now.
Yeah, because we look at that as a company and say, well, why would somebody actually take the time to like us?
People.
You're the only one connected to it.
It's all right, man. Don't worry. You just broke it.
Somebody wanted to go home 7 minutes ago.
All your clients, all Brophy's clients, what we want to do is all those agencies are going to like your Facebook page. Not like that if they want to, they're going to.
It's because you're going to show up in their office and take over their machine.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, if I have to.
It's your project now.
If I have to. For this A, I will. But no, but we'll take care of it.
I think they will because everybody seems to like working with you guys, and it's consistent, and that's the things that we'll target. We'll go toward. I mean, we'll start with probably people that have used you, ideally, and then build off that. Or find people that would be similar to those people that have used you and reasons, and give reasons why they should use you. I mean,
Yeah.
but nobody's just going to say, why, I would question why should we use them also. We need proof for that, so.
Well, part of that's getting into the mind of the audience. You know, it's how do they look at the world? How do they interact with the world? You know, if you're not doing business with somebody, what leads you to be interested in it? You know, need tends to be one of those things, but it's only one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just love, coming in here, how people like to do tours and how we love the tour, and just to have people are picture oriented to me, so when you guys can post a picture or something and that's on somebody's home feed, even if they're not interested, why not click on it? It'll just, then it'll resonate on Brophy or PYC. It'll just be in the back of their mind, and never, like you say, word of mouth. So just the pictures and the stuff that you do, I think it'll do well with social media.
And videos. You can post videos on Facebook now.
The augmented reality.
That augmented reality online.
We're going off of that. So
Every person I've showed that to has absolutely loved it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's everyone's just.
Start showing it to people that have a wallet.
Yeah.
We'll do. We'll talk about a finder's fee later. Yeah.
We get the same response. It's
Right.
just that only some of them can write POs.
So,
But keep showing it. That's good.
Yeah,
And
we'll
that's
do.
Word of mouth.
We'll
Spread
do.
it around. Who did that? Yeah, we do like that.
No, yeah, we'll hit the agencies.
Are there any specific times of year when you guys are like booming here, or when you're just a little bit slow?
Historically, the busiest times are from June to about November.
June to November?
This does tend to be one of our, which allows us to think about these things and dig into them a little bit deeper. The slowest time of year tends to be like I was saying, the 15th of December through about the 1st of March. And then it starts to pick back up again. That has to do with business cycles of clients.
Okay.
It's more their financial cycles than their need cycles. The drudgery of what we do. Accounting. Don't tell Darcy that. She likes it.
it's okay. It's okay.
I guess I'm kind of bitter about accounting right now. I just had my midterm today.
It all has to equal zero.
Flying
Doesn't
out.
equal zero.
Debit and credit. Let's go.
The left side of the sheet, the
Managerial
right side don't work.
I actually didn't think financial accounting was so bad, but managerial is just kind of annoying.
The instructors figure out how to make it challenging.
So I have a question. Do you guys, or have you guys done any work for, like, city official departments? Like, the city clerk, the Wayne County treasurer, anyone like that?
Not typically. We've done some work for the city of Birmingham.
Okay.
I think we did a calendar.
City of
set up
Bloomfield
there.
Hills.
Bloomfield Hills.
Last thing we did for Detroit proper was part of the Detroit 300 campaign.
Okay.
But it's very sporadic. Why do you laugh?
I do a lot of business with them.
Oh.
I can refer you guys.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Howard's had some interface with the economic team in Detroit in the last couple months, so they're aware of us.
Okay. But not just them. I mean, like, there's hundreds of departments. So,
That's true. You're right.
yeah. And they all do in-house. I don't think any of them go through like an agency for their whole campaign.
Which is one of the challenge. One of the reasons we came up with this product is to address that. One of the challenges we have in doing business with them in the past is we're viewed as a competitor.
Yeah.
So when you're doing something for somebody who views you as a threat to their job, it's kind of an interesting relationship. No, but one of the things that one of the reasons we're coming up with the PYC is where those departments struggle is in knowing that that end final file that they did or came up with is what it should be. And if it's going to go into print, will it print the way that it looked on their screen? And oftentimes that answer is no when it's done by an in-house. They go in-house for the creative, they go in-house because they have trouble making decisions, so they go through a lot of rounds. But when it comes to the end step, we can certainly be of benefit to them in that assurance side of it. And we have agency clients now that they want their art directors, which doesn't make art directors happy, to build their files. But then they have us do the final steps in them because they know that we're going to make sure that they'll accurately reproduce.
I have a question. I'm not as well versed in this industry, so I don't really know how it works. So do you guys just print out one proof, or like if someone said I need 1,000 copies, would you do that?
Well, different clients, different ways. So PYC is typically going to be low quantity, probably just one, maybe a few. And that's because it's either an approval proof, because it's a certified proof, it acts as a contract proof, meaning you're going to guarantee that when it goes to press, it will print like this. So that's typically going to be maybe one or two, probably low quantity, unless there's a meeting that they need to spread it around or have in different locations. The rest of our business, we're building things that are, again, probably going to be printed by somebody else.
Okay.
So we're making the color files, we're retouching the color, we're setting the type, we're putting it all together, we're designing it, we're manipulating the design, whether it's a package or a catalog or an ad, whatever. But we're going to get somebody's approval and then ship that off to a printer.
Okay.
And that printer is going to make the multiples.
Yeah, somewhere in your thing it mentions some of the tools that are used by advertisers. If you're going to advertise in a magazine, typically there might be a line in there that says they require a proof. You're going to give them a digital file these days, but if you don't give them a proof, as we tell them, you don't have the right to bitch. So when they print it, they're going to print whatever your digital file showed. What the proof does is gives you the ability to say, it should have matched this.
Since I gave you a certified file, I gave you a file and I gave you a proof that's a visual reference of that file or visual representation. So you have less margin for error to say, there's something wrong with what the file said or the proof.
So if you're running an ad campaign that's going in 30 different magazines, sometimes magazines are printed in different plants, you may end up with 35 or 40 proofs in that scenario.
I have another question. Do companies mind, like Chrysler, do they mind if you were to put the picture that you did for them on Facebook? Would that be going into legal aspects, or would they be okay with it because of this work that you're doing for them?
Depends on the work itself. It depends on whether it's out on the market yet or if it's future looking. We have to get things cleared with certain clients for sure.
For instance, we worked on the Chrysler 200 for 2 months before it hit the auto show. You had to sign non-disclosures because they wanted to be able to point the finger at whoever told the general public about their new car.
I'm just trying to get,
Lay of the land.
Yeah.
No, solid.
Yeah.
We tip this for review, right? We typically work one of three different ways. So we'll work with corporations direct, where there is no middle company between us. Everything we do, we're working with the decision makers. They're the ones who are providing content or providing input, as well as providing approvals. And they're the ones who tell us, change it to this or make that, or we're going to go in a different direction. But it's a direct relationship. The other way we work is through agencies. So there's a second tier that's designated by the client that says, okay, you two are going to work together, agency and Brophy, because of your expertise. So, and then we're working with the agency on behalf of the client to get approvals and make content changes and do whatever. And then the third way, as we call it, is over the internet, where we may not have a personal relationship with anybody, but we're looking to establish a digital relationship, if you will. So there's a product they need, and they don't need the one-on-one contact every day. But they need a product that we can provide.
In that relationship, you also bring geography into play. Because one of the advantages of being here in Detroit, in the Midwest, is we're one of the most efficient, economical markets to get something done. So, depending on what your infrastructure costs are, what your budget is for your client, Detroit may be where you want to get something done versus Chicago or New York.
Sure.
All right.
So we on track for another A, or how are we doing?
I think so.
I think we'll endeavor, yeah.
A few more late nights.
We just wanted to make sure that we weren't going to go off and, do something that you guys wanted to be, no part of. So I think that,
That's a great idea, but
yeah, we did not
But
want
it's
that.
due tomorrow.
I think we'll zero in on social media and on email and on the website. I think having the website up and give it a little makeover is important, because when people are on social media, they're going to want to see, and that first impression of how easy this website is going to be to use, or how innovative it is, I think will be important even before you start to make your social media presence.
we don't repeat what the government does in business. It's not the way it works. We do beta tests and stuff ahead of time.
Especially since you don't always have that in-person relationship. You're mainly digital.
Right.
Your website says a lot.
Yeah.
It's going to be the first impression. It's going to be the whole company.
I think that's another reason why social media will be
I mean,
well, because it's all online, and so is PYC, so it's
Right.
it ties in.
Yeah, we did have some internal debates about whether, you can have 3 websites that all do the same thing, but they're directed at different audiences.
Yeah.
So, once you've done the infrastructure on a website, the shell that goes around it is pretty easy to
Yeah.
switch out in versions, so to speak.
Anybody else? I'm all set. Anybody else?
It always takes about 24 hours for the questions to go, man, I should have said
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
In that case, call Darcy.
Calling back. Wait. Yeah, do you guys need anything else from us?
Looking forward to the input.
That sounds good. I like the questions and the thought process you're all putting into it. It's really good. So, congratulations on your A.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That's good.
We couldn't have done it without you.
That's true.
Well said.
We'll see you again.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you guys later.
Anticipating the question 24 hours.
Can I see the notes? Yeah. Oh, the paper.
Oh, like the...
Yeah. Like the guideline.
No, he wants to see the...
Just in case I think of anything.
In case he wants to think of a question now.
You'd rather not come back later.
Like we did.
Somebody else is giving him homework.
Oh no, I'm the leader for our other big team class, and yeah,
There you go.
I definitely give them a lot of work to do. So,
Okay, that's probably a lot.
I feel like that's really great.
In business, you ask a constant question when it comes to social or digital advertising, and that is how much is too much. Where's the line?
Right, you don't want to saturate the entire
Yeah.
marketplace, because then they're going to be like, there's I see again.
As soon
Like
as
the
you
lady
write-
on the bus. What is her name?
Well, but
What is her name, you guys?
the difference there is
Joanna.
Yeah.
or-
Joanna, yeah,
Ju-
Jemiah